You're live.
Thank you. Good evening. I am calling this meeting to order. This is a Redmond City Council study session held on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, commencing at 7:02 p.m. All council members and Mayor Bernie are in attendance. There are 5 items on the agenda tonight: meeting with boards and commission representatives to discuss work plans and identify areas of collaboration, outcome maps refresh for safe and resilient, as well as vibrant and connected. We have a discussion on regional boards and committees, council retreat outcomes discussion, and council talk time. So the first item on the agenda is kind of a special item. We have here in the chambers with us representatives from many of our boards and commissions, and this is designed as an opportunity for, there's a lot of new faces at the table, kind of all around. We have some new council members, some new leadership in our boards and commission, and really the representatives from our commission have come prepared tonight to tell us a little bit about what their commission is working on in 2026. They'll introduce themselves, tell us a bit about that, and when we've gone all the way down the line, then we'll open it up for council questions, and I really encourage all the council members to introduce themselves and ask for any clarifying questions, as well as just again, identifying areas of opportunity for us to work together. Some of the commissions have very specific areas of feedback that they're going to be looking to hear from the council on this year. So with that, Stuart, I'll kick it to you to go first, if you don't mind. Tell us who you are and which commission you're from.
Thank you. I'm Stuart Hargraves. I'm a commissioner on the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Commission, and I'm here in place of our chair and our vice chair who were not able to attend in person. I'll just a couple of quick updates about our commission. Since we met at the last joint session with City Council, we have a new youth advocate and 2 new commissioners. Henry Weston is our new youth advocate, and our new commissioners are Kim Marcelino and Sina Parsi, although Commissioner Parsi is now Councilmember Parsi, and so we actually have 3 open seats on the commission. And actually, while we're here, I should say thank you very much on behalf of the commission for serving. And honestly, like, the work you did really actually has a huge impact on what we've done. And so yeah, I just want to say thanks on behalf of the commission. So we have elections for chair and vice chair coming up next month. So who knows who you'll see up here next. So in terms of our 2026 work plan, it's a work in progress at the moment. We plan to raise a motion to adopt it in March, and to get there, we're going to be having a retreat on February 21st with the commission as well as Cameron and Lindsay to finalize it and really, get it locked down. And so yeah, so I think we'll make some progress there. But just in terms of highlights. I can't go through the whole thing, but the themes or the major highlights are: 1, East Redmond corridor, right? We had a subcommittee driving that last year. We plan to host a volunteer event to actually extend the corridor up through Conrad Olson Farm and kind of make a soft surface trail up there. We're also constantly looking for kind of low-hanging fruit opportunities to keep this project on track. I mean, it's multi-year, and we're looking for ways that we can, find some simple ways to keep it moving forward. Around signage and wayfinding, that's a large theme for us. Tool design just completed the assessment phase of that project, and there's a subcommittee that I'm on that contributed a lot of context and information and a lot of kind of field work to help them with their assessment phase and kind of to help them move forward. Also, apparently city staff will be updating city council at the next committee of the whole, and also a study session in March. So, and then, in terms of input and feedback that the commission is providing, like a couple of the major areas are: 1, Southeast Redmond Park, right? We've been deeply involved with Berger Partnership to drive, to give feedback on the master plan. This year, probably in a couple months, we'll be commenting and giving feedback on the 60% design that they've got. And so, yeah, we look forward to more collaboration there. That's been really a fruitful discussion with them. Also, we will be, we have been providing feedback on the recreation program plan, and there's, the consultant has come and given us updates a couple of times already, and we'll be doing one more, I think, next month. And then the commission as a whole will be providing some feedback around, what tool design came back with for wayfinding, and that happens in the April, May, June timeframe, perhaps. And then the last theme is really, I would say it's going back to the retreat we were talking about. Lindsay has really done a great job of talking to commissioners and asking them for feedback and where can we be more effective? Where can we, where can we get our hands on things? And so so during our retreat, we'll be talking a lot about agenda setting and how we keep a hot topics list going and, and sort of our backlog and building our work plan and also onboarding for new commissioners. So yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff in the works just in terms of kind of the meta of the commission. So with that, I will turn it over to.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll go next to the Arts and Culture Commission. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello, my name is Kathy O'Keefe, she, her pronouns, the current chair of the Arts and Cultural Commission until this Thursday, where I will end my 2-year stint, but continue on in the commission. 2026 priorities. Updating the Public Arts Master Plan was our main priority in 2025 and will continue to be for the first part of 2026. 2 weeks ago, staff presented a high-level update, and they will return in March for an additional update. Then our consultant, MIG, will join staff at the April 7th study session for a deep dive into the content of the new plan. Commission has also been having robust conversations about the location and themes for the new asphalt artwork. Thank you, Council, for the one-time budget. We have narrowed the project down to 3 viable options and should be able to begin the public selection process soon. And of course, we will continue with our normally scheduled programs, including the Downtown Redmond Art Walk, community art rotating exhibits, public art intensive East Side, operating supporting grants, office hours, and our Poet Laureate program. We will share all the highlights of these programs at our September joint meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And over to Human Services.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Michaeline Fowler, and I chair the Human Services Commission. I'm happy to be here tonight representing, there. Okay, is that much better? Okay. I'm happy to be here to represent the Human Services Commission. We are really going to share some essential work that we're doing this year in the Commission because this is our funding year. Our top focus for 2026 is developing funding recommendations for the human services organizations in this next biennium. The work is already underway because we started the year with setting our funding priorities. We work collaboratively as a commission, and we set real specific priorities, and we're going to actually publish those priorities before we put the call out for requests for proposals, because we want to make sure that all the organizations clearly understand the city values, goals, and areas of focus before they even apply. And our goal is really to be transparent, aligned, and have true impact in the community to really meet the needs of the community in this funding cycle. The application process for the 27-28 funding opens March 2nd, and it runs for 5 weeks, and it closes April 6th. Last cycle, 120 applications were received and reviewed, and so we are expecting about the same, if not more, because the need has increased. This kind of represents the scale of the need out in the community, and it also represents that these organizations really rely on the help that they receive from the city as well. So to prepare for the reviewing applications, because we're going to have a lot to review, and we really want to be very thoughtful in the review process, the Commission is participating in a half-day equity training that is going to be hosted by Communities Rise. This training is going to be the first week of March. It's going to be a joint training with other commissions from Sammamish, Kirkland, and Issaquah. And the training will directly help us and inform us on how we evaluate applications. It's going to help us ensure that the recommendations are kind of thoughtful, they're data-driven, and they really are meeting the needs of the community. It's very important that when we look at these applications and reviewing them, that we do it very community-centric. So that moves us to the actual review process. We're going to be doing a lot of work from April to October. We're going to be meeting more frequently. We're going to meet twice a month. It's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of discussion, and a lot of deliberation as we go through all of the applications. We're really going to work really hard to be very thoughtful at how we review these applications, because it's going to be an interesting balance between the number of applications we have, limited resources, and making sure that we're meeting the needs that is really growing out in the community. Also, this year, we have 5 new commissioners that have not yet gone through a funding cycle. So it's going to be a lot of collaboration, knowledge sharing as we're going through this, to make sure we just kind of maintain continuity through the process that has always been on the commission. Other than that, we are really doing a lot of outreach. When we're not actually involved in the application process, we actually are going out in the community, and we're touring and meeting some of these organizations that are applying, so we really have a feel for who they are serving and what their needs are. And so we do spend a lot of time actually visiting with some of these organizations, and so that has been really impactful on a lot of the commissioners. And that helps us to stay informed of what the evolving need is, because it has grown a lot. And that allows us to use just local data as well as we are going through the process. So other than that, I just want to say, and the commission wanted to make sure that it's known that we really take this application funding process very seriously, and the responsibility that we have on us to be just good stewards of the city's money, to help the community, and just to really ensure that Redmond remains a caring community. And that is what I have to share about the work that we're doing.
Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are ready for some questions, because your updates are so impressive, and I can feel the energy coming from this side of the table. Awesome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Lee Leon, and I am on the Library Board of Trustees. And so for 2026, just to conclude for 2025, we concluded our year of discovery, as we called it, where we met with various librarians. So for example, the adult services, teens, and children's services librarians. We met with different directors, for example, like Donna Zirkle, the Director of Finance, or the organizational strategy managers. We met with welcome ambassadors and different people who work in the library system to really gain a holistic knowledge of the library's operations and inner workings, so that we as a board of trustees could really then take that information out into our communities and really try and figure out how our community is using the library, what kind of programs they would like to see, and provide feedback and suggestions for future programming. So our board is very diverse, and they have a broad reach within the Redmond community, so they are really able to advise on ideas for future programming. One of our proposals that we have, one of our members proposed the establishment of a community publishing imprint at Redmond, at the Redmond Library. So a few other libraries in the country have done this. So this is based on models that have already been established by these other imprinting programs. And we are hoping that this will be funded by a mix of like KCLS and foundation resources and grants. So with this community publishing imprint, we're hoping to have a stronger local literary ecosystem, increase visibility for underrepresented voices, and enhance public profile for the Redmond Library as a place where stories are not only collected, but are created. So additionally, the imprint would support Redmond's reputation as a vibrant, culturally rich city, one that values creativity, civic participation, and the arts. So that's very exciting. So that is just like in the very beginning stages. But we also have another proposal for the youth of Redmond City to share and shape, it's kind of a contest, for the youth of Redmond City to share and shape the future of public libraries. So we're calling it the Public Library 2025. So it's how they envision a library system would look in 25, 24 years from now. It's just to, engage the city, the library, and the community together. And yes, that is it for now.
Thank you, Commissioner Leon. Commissioner Weston.
Hi, I'm Susan Weston. I'm chair of the Redmond Planning Commission. And I'm here representing 7 volunteers. We're all residents in Redmond. And our purview is the comprehensive plan, the zoning code, and some of the functional plans. So we do a lot of looking forward. We recently wrapped up last year the fire functional plan, the capital facilities plan, and just finished up the transportation master plan. So that's all very exciting. That's continuing the work from Redmond 2050. We're going to take, starting tomorrow night, a little bit of a detour into the zoning code, do our annual review of that. So big things on the docket I shouldn't use that word because that's special, but big things that we will be looking at for the zoning code. We have tree code changes coming up, which I am assured will be contentious. We have signs on the side of the road, so that's both business and political, the temporary signs. We're going to be looking at that, possibly with some freedom of speech components to that piece, so that should be interesting. We have a bunch of things to roll in from the state legislature around certain business types, parking, et cetera. Those all look helpful. We have architecture design changes, and I think that is the bulk of them, but we will find out more tomorrow night if anyone is interested in the rest. We have 2 functional plans coming up. So the city's first, I have to get this right, stormwater and surface water plan, which feels kind of topical this year. So I'm glad we'll be seeing that, get some more details about where Redmond is going in that direction. We also have updates to our wastewater plan, which is different. That's wastewater is sewers versus stormwater. And then we have a couple of briefings coming through on progress on Redmond 2050 projects. So that would be Blueprint 2050, which is Redmond's capital investment strategy, and then also the Housing and Human Services Plan. So that should take us through the next several months. And then we're still just, I kind of want to plug, one of our real goals when we're advising council is to be incorporating community feedback. And so I know there's been some, that it's a little bit daunting to come and speak at our meetings, but I wanted to encourage the community also, if you're interested in reviewing, we take survey feedback very seriously that staff collects, and we also love getting emails. So those are both options. And thank you so much for having us, because it's really nice to meet the other commissioners.
Well, thank you so much. Do you want to put in a plug for what your email address is over at the Planning Commission?
No, people will have to go to the website. Sorry, I don't know it offhand.
All right. So sorry about that.
Or you can come to our meeting tomorrow at 7.
That's on me.
So.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you all so much. That this has already proven like just so incredibly valuable in uncovering like we are Team Redmond, and this is where all the work is showing up this year. I'll go ahead and kick it to my colleagues for their questions. Please share your name and your pronouns. And if you served on a commission, why don't you share? Because I think that that could be a fun detail. Councilmember Soni.
My name is Minka Soni, pronounced she, her. And first of all, thank you so much for coming here and giving an updates about all the commissions. And as a council president, Stuart mentioned, I've been part of Arts and Culture Commission with the chair, Kathy here. And I can truly understand what it takes to be on the commissions. It's like the way, it's a first way for us to get connected with the community and, talk about how we can create that engagement. I know that there are a few positions that are open in the commissions, and being in the community side as well, we really want to understand how and where we as a council can help and support with some of these things. If there is anything that is needed, probably we can step up and to help reach out for filling up these positions, or in any other way. Please do let us know.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councilmember Forsyth?
Thank you. Councilmember Jessica Forsyth, she, her pronouns. I did not serve on a commission, but I did apply, so I always joke with staff that they could have had me there instead of dealing with me here. So I'm really excited to hear about all the openings that are coming up. I will be sharing that with folks to get them to apply. For the Arts Commission, I was really excited to hear you talking about the crosswalk art that's coming up. I would love personally to see some Indigenous art, especially in the downtown core. That's like my next dream for our next crosswalk. So hopefully that comes up in some of your conversations. Human Services, 5 new commissioners. Wow, that's going to be a really challenging year. So I wish you all the luck, and exciting to hear about the new imprint coming for the library. Very, very cool. And planning, the thing I wrote down here was your design changes. And I know we recently got rid of the design review board, so I'd be curious if you reach out to any of those commissioners and see if they would be interested in giving feedback during that conversation. I think that would be very valuable to get some of their feedback when you embark on that body of work. You guys do so much work, and I don't know how you do it. Quite frankly, sitting here, looking at what Planning Commission does, looking at what all the commissions do, just really grateful for you all and all the time that you spend making our city better.
Thank you. Councilmember Kritzer?
Thank you. Well, I could do a variety pack because each one of you gave such great updates, and each of your commissions are doing such amazing work. Oh, my name's Vanessa Kritzer, and I use she, her pronouns, and I was a planning commissioner before I was a council member, so, but I do love all of our different boards and commissions. But I will ask a specific question for the Human Services Commission. As you all may know, last year in the fall, we did a listening round with our community-based organizations that are serving our immigrant, refugee, and asylum seekers within our community. And we decided to do an emergency funding round to be able to support those organizations. And I know when we do the Human Services grant round, you all often figure out what's kind of the criteria and the ranking that you might look at in terms of the types of applications we get, whether that's mental health, shelter, food, and legal has always been kind of this interesting space. So I'm just curious to hear how you're thinking about it in this current context, and just what overall how you're thinking about the criteria and what discussions you're having on some of the focus for this year's grant round.
Yeah, so when we do review the applications, we review them in buckets, and we categorize those buckets by shelter, housing, food, insecurities, legal. Legal comes up a lot with domestic violence organizations, and so we do categorize those and make those a priority as well. A lot of the prioritization that we're doing is around making sure that organizations can really serve the residents of Redmond. And also that we can kind of look for organizations that have kind of a grassroots as well, that may not have other funding channels or avenues. And so that's also one of the priorities we look at. And then we also just really want to value long-term services, services that really have impact. We want to hit the urgent needs as well, but preventive services as well. Services that offer maybe job opportunities, language opportunities, to get to preventive services as well as serving the urgent needs of the community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Prakriya?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Vivek Prakriya, he, him pronouns. I was previously the youth advisor on the Human Services Commission, so great to see you, Michaeline, and congratulations on becoming chair. I didn't know that. Thank you, everybody, for your presentation. Michaeline, my question is for you. The last thing I remember discussing on the Human Services Commission was establishing a baseline floor for certain shelter-based organizations and housing-based organizations so that they could continue to operate with the knowledge that at least some level of funding was guaranteed. And I was wondering whether there was a resolution reached on that discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a great question because there has been a lot of discussion about what are the needs in our community, and there's a big need around sheltering and housing, and immediate housing. And so setting aside a baseline funding for that area is definitely a priority for the commission as we're reviewing the applications this year because we just want to meet the needs of the community, and that is a need that keeps coming up.
Thank you. Councilmember Parsi first.
Hi, my name is Lina Parsi. I use she, her pronouns. I have a question for you. Can I ask a group a question, then get a show of hands?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. To all the people who are coming to present today, thank you so much. And can I get a show of hands if you have any youth positions open or open in the next 6 months? Awesome. Can our youth see the hands that are up? All right.
We have
Raise your
hands
hand.
raised for all commissions except the library at the moment, though we did hear about a project going on with youth.
Yes, correct. The Redmond Library actually has a teen advisory board that is separate.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. And can I get a show of hands from the youth if they would be interested in joining any of the commissions?
We have a few hands in the back from our visiting scout troop. A few more hesitant. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I have one question for the, I think, Planning Commission who shared about zoning. I was curious if you have any zoning specific for protecting habitats, critical habitats.
So that's actually a very broad question. I'll try to answer it briefly, and then I'd be happy to follow up later with more specifics. So the way that Redmond kind of fits into this is we have, at one level in our comp plan, a ton of policy. And then we get, which would basically be like, what are the goals of the city? What are the priorities of the city? What are we trying to be protective of? And then we filter in to that. There are a bunch of different functional plans that come in with specific designs. There's specific projects that come in and are budgeted. That's not our purview, that's council. And then we have some things in the zoning code, and then all of those have to cooperate with state law. So we kind of work on a lot of different fronts. When we're talking about environmental pieces in particular, we really rely on staff to make sure we're getting the details right. And then I would say the Planning Commission adds a lot of push and emphasis to make sure that we're being very future-minded, very resilient. We worry a lot about sustainability, especially with the current group that we have working. So I think there's a lot of eyes on it, and it's absolutely a focus. But if you have specific avenues that you really want to make sure we're emphasizing, please bring them up because we're all trying to work that direction.
Thank you so much. And Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry, Angie Nueva Camina, Council Vice President, she, her pronouns, and I served with Susan on the Planning Commission before joining Council. Thank you all so much for your time and coming and giving us the updates so that we can create more dialogue between the commissions and council. Also, this is a volunteer, and it's like you're adding this to. I know that the Planning Commission's meeting tomorrow night, so it's an addition thing. But there is so much reading that goes involved. There's so much outreach that you had mentioned earlier that happens. So it's not just what happens in chamber. So thank you very much for that and just the care and the diligence that you have. I'm listening to the conversations tonight, and I'm thinking about, it's reminding me about how balanced we are as a city between innovation and our humanity. And I'm hearing things like Redmond as a caring community. Marilee, excuse me, because you had said something that was so wonderful, where our library are about stories that are, and I'm paraphrasing, are held and created, are both stored and created. So I'm hearing, about our humanity, and it's so beautiful. I mean, I mentioned this before. Any city that has a poet laureate is really, we're investing in our humanity. My question is for Marilee. on saying more about the community publishing imprint, because unless you're in that world, that's English, but I don't know who understands that, because I was looking it up to full transparency. And I immediately saw the importance of this, because that is the number one way that we stay connected, is in sharing our stories. So say a little bit more about the community publishing imprint.
Yes, absolutely. So the idea of this pilot program is to give local writers a credible, low-cost path to publication, excuse me. So we're going to be publishing, hopefully, we're going to be publishing fiction, nonfiction, memoir, and then children's works that are really rooted in the local experience. This imprint would preserve community stories that are typically underrepresented in commercial publishing and that might otherwise be lost.
That is incredible. Thank you. I'm so glad that I asked you to expand on that.
Yeah, and I do have the proposals if you would like to see it afterwards to get a little more information.
I would. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Commissioner Leon, feel free to send that to the whole council. You can email us at council@redmond.gov. I'll follow it up with my own question here really quickly. I'm Council President Melissa Stewart. I use she, her pronouns, and I was on the library board, which we don't often have the library board represented in forums like this, and it was really clearly very moving that we had you here tonight, so thank you so much. I wanted to just ask if there's any commission who is currently having if you have public comment at your commission and you're hearing about any topics you would like to make sure we know that you are hearing about, anything coming up lately in your commission meetings? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start. We recently had a public comment from a community member that wanted to expand to show, I believe it's called the Great Migration film. And so with that, we thought, this is a good place to, host it at the library, but then maybe also reach out to other commissions, maybe like the Parks Commission or anything, to maybe collaborate on that. And then we also realized that a bunch of our board members love bird watching, and we're like, okay, maybe we can do something with that as well. Marymore Park has that wonderful Audubon trail loop. So yeah, it could probably be something bigger.
Okay,
a lot of bird watchers here apparently.
A lot of collaboration,
Yes.
and Councilmember Parsi can certainly help you out as well. That's a specialty of hers. Any other topics you're hearing about at public comment that we should know about? Yeah, go ahead.
Just really quickly, when we do have someone come in to give public comment, it normally is a human services organization that just wants to make sure that we are aware of the work they do. They understand funding is tight, and so they just want to get the work they do kind of more to the forefront.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner Fowler. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Hargreaves.
Two that come to mind. One, a few months ago, there was an ask for a calisthenics court somewhere in the city. And just last month, some representatives from the Greater Seattle Disc Golf Association came and asked us to refresh the equipment that's at Jewel Park. And they wrote up a really fabulous proposal, cost assessment, and it's like in the $7,000 to $8,000 range. And so we'll be working with parks to get that in their budget.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Mayor Bernie, did you have a question or a comment?
Well, I had a comment. Hi, Mayor Bernie, she, her, and I was on the Parks and Trails Commission. It was just Parks and Trails at the time. It's new and improved now. And I was also chair of that, and I think you've been chair as well, haven't you? I see something on the horizon. But I do want to thank all of you for being here. I thank Council President and Council for having this opportunity. It's kind of a nice potpourri of opportunity to hear some of the different commissions that we have in the city, some of the different opportunities. We do have the Boy Scouts here the Scouts here who can say that there's sometimes youth opportunities. But I do also want to thank you all. You put an incredible amount of time and passion into the work that you do, and it is absolutely volunteer. But the work that you do is so important, not just to decisions that we make, but also to the community. They don't totally know who's behind all of it, but I know I can pick to each of your commissions, and I can point to something in the community that has made amazing impact, and it's because all of you are willing to spend your time and put your passion into this work. So thank you all so much. Good luck to the Human Services Commission this year. I know these years are really a lot of time and energy, but the work that you do is just so important and impactful to our community as well. But just thank you all. And I'm so glad you're here and talk about opportunities. I think it would be really interesting to explore, is there an opportunity to partner with the city on some of that, thinking of like some of the work the Arts and Culture Commission does, and thinking about this printing, and we have a poet laureate, and I'm looking at Chris out in the audience. He's already got me. But things like that are really what make our community so vibrant and add to the opportunities. So just want to thank you all for being here. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. And for time, we're going to have to close up. I know that we barely just kind of scratched the surface of the conversation tonight. Also want to be respectful of your time. Please extend our gratitude to your commissions as well, and your colleagues and your fellow board members. And for the listening public, many of these commissions have vacancies currently. So just down the line, library, do you have openings on your commission right now? Not the library. But we do on Human Services and the Arts, and several on Parks and Recreation, and more coming up later in the year. So if you go to redmond.gov, you navigate to the Boards and Commissions page, you scroll down and click on Vacancies. It's a little bit buried, but click on that Vacancies and you'll be able to see the list populate there. Once again, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you being here tonight. And thank you to the council members for your awesome questions and engagement. The second item, we'll give folks a time to transition here, but the second item on the agenda is back with our finance team. It's the Outcomes Map Refresh. We're going to be looking at the budget priorities for safe and resilient, as well as vibrant and connected. Haritha Nara, Deputy Finance Director, will come back to the table and introduce this item. Welcome, Haritha. Welcome, Haley.
Thank you. Good evening again. I know you have seen me. This is the second time. We are here to continue our discussions of the Outcome Maps Refresh. As a recap, on Jan 27th, we came to you guys reviewing what are outcome maps, why we are refreshing now, what is the purpose of it, and a little bit of background. And also we reviewed two priorities, healthy and sustainable, and strategic and responsive. During that meeting, our session, we have collected all your valuable comments and questions in a council matrix, and we have worked with our staff to provide the responses. Hopefully, those responses satisfy you guys. We will go through that briefly in a minute. So this evening we'll start with reviewing that council matrix and make sure that we don't have any open items. And if you need additional information on those the questions, we will we'll come back to you after working with our staff. We will, after the brief discussion or review on the matrix, we will review the remaining two priorities, which is safe and resilient and vibrant and connected community, vibrant and connected priority. We have our row of deputies over here and online, so any questions, any quick responses, they are happy to come over here and respond. But if there is anything that is that needs deeper discussion or more research to be done, then we'll add that into the council matrix again, and we'll get back to you with responses. So with that, I'll hand it over to Haley to go over the council matrix.
All right, good evening, Council. So I'm going to kind of breeze through these. I just mostly want to go through some of these items and make sure we can mark them as closed, make sure there's no other outstanding questions for you. So please stop me if I'm going too quickly, but I'll start with just the general comments. I know we had a couple of comments over making sure that our measures are measurable, and providing refined targets. So, of course, we provided benchmarks when available, but because most of these measures are new, we are still in the process of kind of putting together some of those targets and benchmarks, but we do plan to have most of that information available to you during the departmental overview presentations that are starting in March. And then going through that as well, we have our numbers versus percentages. So we will, once we again kind of bring forward the actual targets and numbers that we are presenting to you, we will make sure that we are using both numbers and percentages as they kind of tell that full story. So for those first two, are we feeling like these can be closed? Or should I just go through all of them and then?
Councilmember Kritzer?
Point of order, I'm just curious whether we can whether we're going to go through every single one or whether we can raise if there's an issue in the matrix we feel isn't.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot, it's a big amount and there's a lot to cover.
That is correct. And I know that this was emailed to the council. I'm not sure. Is this visible to the public in the packet? I know you're sharing your screen currently, but just, it's possible that not everyone's had a chance to fully review it either. So it's a great question. My suggestion, Haley, would be to, let's see. Excuse me, it's been a long day. We definitely want to keep the ones that need to stay open. How about if we can ask the council members if they are ready to close any, they can say that if their name is attached to one. Does that work, Councilmember Kritzer? I appreciate your partnership on calling this out. Oh, except our names are not on this matrix.
And I would say I don't think we did get a ton of time to be able to review this.
So how about this? Would you all mind if we came back to the matrix another time and just moved forward with the 2 budget priorities today?
Yeah.
And we can come back to this. We'll find time in scheduling for another check on this. I also noticed that many of the items say that this will happen or this will come back.
Right.
And usually we don't close it until that has happened. So if it's okay with you, we can postpone this and go back to reviewing the priorities.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for everyone's flexibility. I apologize if I had my head turned. Councilmember Forsyth.
I was just also wondering if we could get names next to, because we're normally used to seeing who raised the question so that we can quickly go in and look and see. That would be very helpful.
That was my fault. I hid in that row. We do have your names and between A and B, so we will unhide it and send it to you guys.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much, Deputy Director. We do appreciate that. Apologies for the misunderstanding tonight. So should we jump in with safe and resilient?
That would be great. I can start the conversation just to make sure that I know I heard that there is a lot of back and forth going. So Haley will be showing or, sharing the outcome map, the summary page, and I'll point out the ones that are new and that has been updated so that, if you have any questions on that, we have our deputies to answer. So this is our outcome map, which shows our outcomes, our budget plans, and dashboard indicators. And below that is where we have all the performance measures listed. So this is our safe and resilient outcome map. There are quite a bit of changes in this priority. There are a lot of revised measures, there are a lot of added measures because of the program changes and the improvements that are happening in the public safety side of it, and also on the criminal justice and investigation side. We have added, as a group, we have added a new outcome in this priority, which focuses on emergency preparedness and recovery. So we have Ami over here, our Deputy Director, Ami. over here to answer any questions on that new outcome. Yeah, from there we can go. So
Yeah.
you have, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I think, are you ready for questions then regarding the outcomes, or?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So council, I did have a chance to connect with staff, just, reviewing on the last round of this. What we would love to offer is just the opportunity to kind of go column by column. That way we make sure we have the right staff sitting at the table with us. So are there any questions from the council regarding the first outcome of community risk reduction and safe built environments? If so, we'll call the teams up. Any questions in the first column? Okay. Oh, that's exactly what we're here for. Councilmember Forsyth.
I would love to hear a little more about the building code effectiveness grading schedule.
Yeah, we have Jason, Deputy Director Jason Lynch, who is right here with me right now.
Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Jason Lynch, Deputy Director, Development Services. The Effective Insurance Grading Bureau rating is it's actually roughly every 10 years. The most recent one that we did was in 2019. It is where you attain a score within a criteria. There's multiple categories that we're evaluating. The three primary areas are administration of the building code, plan review, and field inspections. So it's a combination of multiple items in each of those subsets, and then you score with the Insurance Rating Bureau. The maximum score that you could score would be in that category, excuse me, would be between 93 and 100, which would be a class 1, which is the highest you can possibly score. We're currently sitting at an 86.5, which is a class 2. The reason behind that is, yes, we want to attain a 1. It's not possible because of the size of our jurisdiction and the amount of inspections that we do and the growth that we have in the area. So it's based on how much development you do, how much permits you issue. And right now, roughly, we're issuing 12,300 permits a year, and we're doing 38,000 inspections between the building department, the construction department, and the fire department. So we continue to strive and meet with the insurance adjuster that does the rating for the city to see if we could ever attain the 1. It would take us to a point that's probably not feasible because of the ratio that would have to be there for the number of employees to bring those numbers down. We would roughly be looking at like a 30% reduction in the inspections that we do and roughly a 40% reduction in the development that we're seeing. So we think we're at the prime spot of where we need to be to serve the community. It's also included in all of the background and the inspections and the certifications that each individual has and all the training that goes into it. So it's called continuing education units. So that is what comprises the Insurance Bureau rating.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Do you have a follow-up at all, Councilmember Forsyth?
That was a lot more than I was expecting, and I really appreciate that. That's a lot of context. Does that actually impact any other rates, like insurance-wise, or what other impacts
It does.
for the budget and for the city?
It does affect the Insurance Bureau rating. So the Insurance Bureau rating is like what people can get for insurance. They also look at claims, that we've had claims, and to my knowledge, there have been multiple claims, but we have only had one claim in 30 years. We actually paid out on a claim related to development.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Are there other questions from the council on this column? Community risk reduction and safe built environments. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Thank you so much, Deputy Director, really appreciate it. The second outcome is coordinated emergency responses that protect life, property, and responder safety. Budget plans include police dispatch and support, police patrol and response, fire administration and support services, fire and medical operations. Councilmember Kritzer.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if it fits here or somewhere else, but I am wondering, as we think about our emergency response, one piece that we've talked a lot about is our alternative crisis response, and whether there's a metric that makes sense here for us to put in to be able to track our goals, especially around ensuring that those who might be experiencing a behavioral and mental health crisis or other types of crises that might best be served by our alternative crisis response, making sure that that they're receiving that, or a rate to make sure how that handoff is going as now we're moving towards routing more calls that way.
Absolutely. And do we have staff available to help us with this one? All right, while they make their way, I will actually just acknowledge that was one of my burning questions too. The way, and again, if this fits somewhere else, we can put it somewhere else, but the shorthand I had here is, how do we measure right responder, right place, right time? And whether or not that needs to be reflected in this column, or under this outcome, I guess. Yeah, welcome, Deputy Chief Coates.
Brian Coates, Deputy Police Chief. As you know, the Alternative Response Program is relatively new. It was captured in last study session when we talked about the overall community health of the city. So that might be the more appropriate place for it to live, at least now. But as more data comes in and the program continues to develop itself, I think absolutely it could fit into these metrics.
Should we add that to the matrix? Find a home for alternative crisis response and co-response. Make sure it's reflected. Do I see, I need to see at least 4 thumbs. We do, okay. So if we could have that added to the matrix. Yes, Mayor Burney.
We had this, I recall talking about this when we were all talking about this with staff and deputies, with directors and deputies, and I can't recall what we ended up with, but I just as a, well, we'll need to figure out what the right metric for it would be, and so you try to, and I know you had a good portion of this in a study session when I wasn't here, but we're not going to capture everything, and I know that program is really important, so it might take us a little bit to find like the right fit. So we'll work on it and get back to you. And as a side note, in getting back to you on like the matrix that we're putting together for you, there is time on this March 10th study session, and so that might be a good time to come back and have everyone have a chance to take a look at these, and we can have more information for you as well.
Well, I think if we have it on the matrix now, we'll come back to it, and we have agenda setting later this week, council leadership and the mayor, so we'll work on that. Okay, thank you. Other questions around coordinated emergency responses? Council Vice President Nueva Camina.
Thank you. I had a question, and it might be for Deputy Chief Coates, and one that I know that is going to be fire, and that is on our equitable and timely access to emergency response. I see that hang on, don't go anywhere, because I see that 7 minutes and 20 seconds to patient 90% of the time for all neighborhoods. That's a metric that we use for fire. So Deputy Chief Coates, my question for you specifically was, do we have a similar metric for police for response time? Because I didn't see that listed in there. And I know that we've got really great technology with our drone pilot program, where I believe I had seen a stat where our drone pilot can be there in 2.5 minutes anywhere in the city. So, okay, so first question, do we have a similar metric for police?
Oh, not at this time. We don't.
Okay. Is that something that we're working towards, or is it just still too new that we don't have a metric for what's our police response time?
Specific to drone as a first responder? Or for the
general average across the department?
Trying to understand your question. Can you just rephrase it?
Do we have a goal or metric for police response time?
We do. And it's for the DFR program, or drone as a first responder, it's under 2 minutes. And then for the routine traditional police response, it is less than 7 minutes for priority 1 or emergency calls. And I believe, I'm going by memory a little bit, but it is in the presentation if you scroll on down. And then for the lowest priority calls, it's less than 20 minutes.
If I may jump in, there is a metrics on the police dispatch and support budget plan, which says response time from police dispatch to arrival on scene, which covers that measure, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I have a second question, but I'm willing to, for fire, and I'm willing to wait until round 2.
Are there other questions? Go ahead, Council Vice President.
Thank you, President. For fire, it says cardiac arrest survival rate witnessed, but we didn't have a definition under witnessed. Can you expand on that?
Jim, is Jim still in here? Chief? Whitney, can you go on? I'll turn it over to him since he's the medical expert.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, so we specify witnessed intentionally because cardiac arrest, it's a measure that we can have a definitive start point and have good understanding of what has happened from that moment until EMS arrives to support their care. Without that, we have what we call all-comers survivors, but there's no definitive answer as to when that event actually started, so it doesn't lend us great data for outcomes. So if we have something that we can say that we know exactly when it started, an activation in 911 happened, and hopefully citizen CPR started prior to EMS arrival, that gives us a clear line of distinction of what really truly time and care can change an outcome, if that makes sense. If we include all comers, so we get 2 stats every year. We get 2 stats at the end of the year that tell us about cardiac arrest, and we look at them in those 2 different veins. For us, on average, unwitnessed cardiac arrest, the survival rate's around 20%. Witnessed cardiac arrest, what we strive to achieve is a minimum of a 60% successful outcome. And when we say success, that means 6 months look back. So 6 months after the event, we look at the individual and we have good understanding about what their capabilities are. Did they return to the same functions of life that they had prior to the event? So are they able to do their checkbooks, tie their shoes, go back to work, communicate with family, and all those things that they had prior to the event? That's what's considered success to us, and that's where we strive to be at minimum of 60%.
Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions on this outcome and its measures? All right, we'll move on to the next one, which is to conduct thorough investigations that reduce future risk, support accountability, and provide appropriate resolutions. The single dashboard indicator here is police case clearance rates are equal to or more than the Washington state average. Councilmember Forsyth.
Thank you. I'm not clear if this bullet also includes our community court or if that is exclusive of community court.
I see Deputy Chief Coates returning to the table.
Welcome back.
For the case clearance rates, no, it does not include community court.
Is that a metric we should, or what's the reason for not including that as a metric point?
I would say because this is a metric that is tracked by the state through the Washington Association of Sheriff's Police Chief, and we want to be consistent with all other cities when we're measuring our case clearances against the state average. It's definitely something we can take into consideration, but it's just community court, we're fortunate to have it, but not every jurisdiction in the state does. So I think we want to be consistent.
I question if we should track it for our own purposes of reasons to maintain it for future knowledge. I know there are other communities that are also looking at trying to have community courts, so if we have that data, that could be helpful for them as well. Just a consideration.
Yeah, and I will add to this that a case clearance can be cleared in a number of ways. One is arrest, one is a filing, one is exceptional. Maybe it was transferred to another jurisdiction. And the way our cases are, the disposition, it very well could already be included, and I just might be missing the mark on that, but I could clarify.
Thank you. And I would offer Councilmember Forsyth that the outcome here is about investigations, not around what happens after charges have been made and all of that. So I think, would you like a matrix item added around, is there a need to reflect community court somewhere in the outcomes? Okay.
Somewhere within all of the data collection. Maybe this isn't the right spot, but somewhere, yes.
Okay, if we could add that to the matrix, does that make sense? Is Haley the scribe this evening?
Well, we have
a couple?
Yeah, we
How
have
lucky
few
are you?
online.
Awesome.
Councilmember Stewart, now that I kind of got how you wanted row by row, I'm happy to take over the job that I should be doing.
We're a team. Take it away.
Thank you. Okay, so the last column over here, or the last outcome in this particular priority, is community resilience and recovery following emergencies and hazardous events. This is a new outcome that has been added, which I talked about at the beginning. There is a new budget plan also that has been added to align with this outcome, emergency preparedness and recovery. And we have 2 dashboard indicators. We have Deputy Director Ami over here to explain or respond any questions you may have.
Councilmember Kritzer.
Thank you. I'm curious, just top line in terms of the outcome, that it's focused on following emergencies and hazardous events rather than, I see one of the metrics includes during, but just in thinking about, because I feel like we want to think about some set of outcomes, both not just how we do, I guess the outcome might be after the event, but how are people dealing with the events while they're occurring? I'm just wondering if it's during and following in terms of the outcomes, how resilient we are during the event as well, which would reflect the preparation that we provide to people.
The phrasing of that for community resilience is you only really test it and measure how resilient you are while you're in the event. So if you are able to get and achieve the outcomes that you're looking for while you're going through whatever the incident may be, that gives you an indicator on how well your preparations are leading up to it. So part of what we were trying to capture just at the high level on this was that we didn't have emergency preparedness really anywhere as its own budget offer within the budgeting process. So we had it was invisible to the entire budget process. So we wanted to first grab ourselves a space for it so that we could put the emergency preparedness. And then when we get into the program measures, there are some in there that help us discuss what you're pointing out, council member, which is, are we getting the outreach with the community, and do they feel like they are getting prepared, that we are working with them in a way that's meaningful to help them mitigate maybe their own risks or be able to handle their own adversities that are in there. But when I view the whole community resilience and then the recovery following of that, to me, the resilience building, again, is not something that you know until you're there and you're going through it and you realize whether or not you've achieved, your mission. Does that clarify? Or are we missing something? Please tell me if I've missed it, so.
I think my question was just whether it would make sense in the outcomes to be able to look at community resilience during emergency events and recovery following those events. So we could both kind of track how do we support folks during the occurrence of the event, especially as, and maybe it's related more to the indicators that we look at, but just looking at how do we respond and support. For example, thinking about some of the events we experience, they're not always like just a moment, right? It might be a multi-day heat dome, or it might be a big storm that lasts multiple days, and our staff and city are responding during those events and supporting our community. So I guess I would just ask generally if it feels like we might be missing that kind of piece in terms of that service delivery in the event, but maybe the way we measure it is after the event and kind of in how we're recovering.
Yeah, and I think, again, as a new indicator and a new outcome for us, we threw some stuff up there to get us started on this, and so the feedback is definitely important, and we can definitely take a look and see if there's something else. I know we had a lot of performance measures, and we were told to edit down, and so there's a number of things that we just wanted to make sure that what we were selecting actually the community would look at and see that that was something that was important to them. And so if that's something there, we can certainly look and see if there's another performance measure that we can develop, or a different dashboard indicator that would be more in alignment with what you're pointing out.
Thank you. I'm going to do a quick follow-up on that one because I had the same question about being on the other side of the equation. And this may add another department into the mix. I also see it could possibly end up on Vibrant and Connected's third outcomes. But I wondered too, in the vein of preparedness and community resilience for emergencies, about infrastructure condition indexing, especially with many of the facilities and grids that we have been studying recently, but also our bridges across the waterways and roadways. So if that fits here, or if that ends up somewhere else, or if it is too far in the weeds, but it is something that I'm interested in.
And I will say to that point, and thank you for that comment, we actually did discuss that when we were in the joint meeting with the deputies and directors. We talked extensively. There's a recognition on the part of staff that infrastructure is another piece of this. Again, how the budget is broken down and how these budget offers are created, the emergency preparedness and recovery, that's a team that's administratively managed through the fire department, so we needed to create its own budget offer, but we did talk about whether or not there's another budget offer in there somewhere that goes into infrastructure, building resilience, kind of the hard assets in the community that are just as vital and important. But there wasn't, at the time, I don't think we had a really good answer for how we pull that all together and not have it start to stretch all the other budget offers that are already established. But it definitely came up, and what we had elected to do was to table how we would approach that through this cycle, but continue to kind of investigate what might be a good way to be able to address it in maybe another budget process.
Okay, thank you. And just to quickly respond, we should have the budget tools like these outcomes maps that help facilitate our conversation. If they're getting in the way and we're trying to put square pegs in round holes, then we should reevaluate the tools. But I appreciate the efforts that so many of you have been involved in making sure that the tools are working as best as they can for this cycle. I did see another hand over here. Councilmember Parsi?
Thank you. I had a question for the previous column, if that's okay to go back for the criminal justice.
Sure, let's just make sure that we don't have any more questions for this column. Any other questions for this one? Okay, sure, let's hop back.
I was curious if we can add a lens of equity to metrics and criminal justice for both before the incident and follow-up. Especially, I know youth criminal justice is something that is top of mind, LGBTQ communities, so many other lenses that we can pay attention and be mindful of our criminal justice. So I would love to see a little bit more granular look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll add that into the council matrix.
Yeah, and if the matrix could refer to some of the plans and reports that we have currently, that'd be helpful. Okay, I think that means we can move over to the fourth one. Oh, no, wait, sorry, we just did the fourth one.
So yes, we did the fourth one, and this is the end of this priority. So any questions before we move forward to Vibrant and Connected? All right. Just a reminder, if you think of any questions later, please email us. We are happy to add that into the council matrix. Vibrant and Connected, so we have 4 outcomes in this priority. The first outcome is a transportation system that supports reliable multimodal movement of people and goods. There are 2 budget plans in this, mobility of people and goods and active transportation. Just a reminder, we used to have light rail in this offer before. Now that we have a beautiful light rail in the downtown, we removed that offer. That contract has ended. We added active transportation as a new budget plan. That's the update on this particular outcome. So any questions over here?
Councilmember Prakriya.
Thank you. I had a question about the priorities. I think both of the metrics. I think both of the metrics are very valuable, both the overall supply and the travel time reliability index. But I think, I feel like there should be some overall metric expressing the robustness overall of our multimodal form of transit. You know, I recall reading in the comprehensive plan a statistic that 49% of Redmond households, 49% of Redmond households are within a half mile of a frequent transit stop. Mm-hmm. And I think a statistic like that, or a statistic about the percentage of households that are a 10-minute walk, roll, or bike away from a frequent transit stop would be very, very effective in effectively expressing, the robustness of our transit system. So I would love to see that in there if possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Soni?
So one of the challenges that is there is if there are modes of transportation available, what is the usage of that? So I don't know where it will be, but definitely that is one of the metrics that we should definitely be also collecting in some form. Okay, we have Deputy Director Sarah Fee over here to answer the modes.
I just wanted to jump in because the last two that I heard, so these metrics are really focused on what the city can accomplish. And so one in terms of thinking about additional light rail or bus stops would be more within like Metro or Sound Transit's purview. And so what we tried to focus on here is more like the capital improvements we can make that we put within the Transportation Master Plan, which is in the mobility of goods and people. So that's related to the spine network, the amount of sidewalks we're increasing, which will help get people from A to B. And then two, more on the active transportation was more towards the operational side, our transportation demand management staff, which is helping it to educate people and provide programs to get people to those resources. So I just wanted to add that. So it's something we can definitely consider, but I would be a little hesitant for us to try and add in metrics that aren't things that we're responsible for as a jurisdiction. So I just wanted to maybe get clarification on that.
Councilmember Prakriya?
Thank you, and that makes a lot of sense. I guess I had a follow-up then, maybe the statistic on the percentage of households who could use multimodal forms of transit to get to frequent transit stops is better. Because that is something that is more in the city's jurisdiction. And I guess my second question then is, what is the travel time reliability index? And how is that something that the city has jurisdiction over if a lot of transit is determined by the county?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it is a complicated index, and we can add more information into the matrix, but essentially it's how reliable can people expect to be getting through the city. So that relates partly to our state highway system, but also our local streets and the improvements and connections that we're making on it, and how quickly people can get from A to B. We're working on hopefully it'll include transit as well as driving for that index, but it has a lot of different additions. So hopefully that adds a little bit to it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you.
Councilmember Kritzer, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I guess I would just wanted to build on the idea. I'm wondering if there is, as we're working to solve first, last mile, maybe through our community survey that we do annually to just be able to actually survey people. And I don't know if it rises to the level of being one of our top metrics, but to be able to say, to find out what percentage of residents who at least answered that survey, that gives us a representative sample, use some form of first, last mile transportation, multimodal transportation, whether that's bike, bus, or maybe even, especially our new Red Link or Metro Flex, to be able to get a sense of what percentage of residents are using one of these solutions and where we could track that over time.
Yep, that is one. It's not represented on here, but we are adding one, the percentage of daily trips made by walking, bikering, or micromobility. 2 is the percentage of daily trips by transit, and then we're actually going to add also the transit ridership on an average weekly boarding, because that helps us understand like people's more traditional commute patterns versus a single trip going to a Mariners game kind of thing. So does that help answer what you're looking for? And I will share that this is a lot of new data collection, so you can expect there to be some data requests coming your way as a part of us improving our data collection.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. Are there other questions on this outcome?
All right. So I would like to have Sarah Fee sitting here. It's the second. Next column, next outcome is on the Housing and Human Services and Arts and Community Events. It reads city services and programs that promote community building and being to help everyone thrive. Anyone have any questions in this particular outcome?
I'll chime in. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the housing indicator that is kind of paired in with event permitting and the like. So if we could just hear a little bit more about that.
So just to clear, about the indicator itself?
Yeah, so the outcome is city services and programs that do these things. And then one of the indicators is the total number of cost-controlled affordable housing. Is that getting to our IZ and MFTE programs as a pro? Is that why that's here? Or this is just such a mixed bag of event permitting, human services funding, and housing. So just was interested in learning a little bit more about the theory behind this one.
Yeah, I think traditionally they had been connected together, and so we, rather than having many more individual outcomes, we are trying to continue some of the same that we had from the prior years. Particularly for the housing, the new housing outcome that we had is, from Redmond 2050, there's such a focus on us having affordable housing, and specifically at the 50% area medium income level. And so you'll see here that the indicator is the total number of cost-controlled affordable housings, but then one of the performance measures underneath that indicator will be specifically how many 50% units have we added compared to what has been allocated to us from the King County growth targets.
Wonderful. So we do have somewhere in there that is capturing, it's just below the line here, but we do have somewhere in there that is capturing the net new in any given biennium, or in this given biennium.
Yep. So this is just an indicator for us to track the overall affordable units, and then we thought about tracking at every single level, but we wanted to keep it high level for this. And the most important one that we are tracking is at that 50% level. So that's why we highlighted it here. But we'll, of course, be coming and presenting to the council as part of our regular updates about all of the housing at all the different income levels.
Absolutely. I appreciate the focus. Councilmember Kritzer and then Councilmember Soni.
I'm not necessarily against it, but I am curious if you can speak to the human services metric of choosing kind of the gap between the amount requested and the amount granted versus, say, choosing a metric like number of residents served or percentage or something that is more around kind of like the services that are provided. And kind of how you grappled with choosing this as the metric that we would measure ourselves against on human services.
Yeah, we could absolutely. And open to feedback. Wrestled a lot on this one as well, as finance knows, because we do have two performance measures. One, which is the number of community members served by city programs, and then the number of our agency partners that are achieving one or more of their contracted outcomes, which are ones that we have tracked in the past. What we heard from finance was really an indicator should really be helping us think about the barometer of how we're doing, and and so we are trying to think of something that would show, and this is true with local government, as we know, we can be putting in a lot of effort and still be meeting our performance metrics, and the needs in the community might be growing because of things outside of our control. For example, federal funding decreasing or other things. And this is a metric that we're receiving. And we've been seeing year over year that the amount of increased need, as we've seen divestment or increased human services needs. So we felt it would be a helpful indicator for us to just be aware of, open to council having a different opinion of something that we could track. But that is why we thought we would include it. Mayor?
Mayor Bernie?
Well, this is fascinating. We changed away from what you just said some years ago so that it's back is interesting. And I appreciate the reason for it. I think that the challenge is we're measuring it through our budget process, and we all know that our city budget cannot in any shape or form support the overall need of community members. We require state and federal partners and county partners as well. And so maybe there's a way we can nuance this in a way that helps us understand how the city is meeting the need, and also are the needs being met through other sources as well as part of a overall cooperation? Because I completely agree with you on this. He kind of puts us in a bind. We've had discussions over the years about how much money should go into human services and what's appropriate, and we know we can't fund everything we want to fund. So let's talk more about it and kind of figure out something that meets the needs of all of us.
We will add that into the council matrix.
Okay. Thank you so much. Councilmember Forsyth.
Thank you. I'm definitely interested in the revision version because I think it slices right through to depending on what the human services group asking for the money is, they may only be able to help a small amount of people versus something else that may be able to help more, but the budget ask. So I'm definitely interested in continuing that conversation, but I know we've done both, so I'd definitely be interested in seeing how the results that we get from this version too.
Okay. Oh, and Councilmember Soni, I'm so sorry. Back to you.
So I'm just wondering, where does tourism fit in here? I definitely see that we are talking about number of events, permits, issues, and number of attendees. And that is also have some tie-up with the tourism. And I'm just wondering if it's included somewhere or if that has to be explicitly called out somewhere.
I am very excited to announce that we do have our own tourism section this time. In the past, we didn't have tourism represented in the budget performance measures, so that will be on the 4th column there, and it will have its own budget plan, which we're very excited about.
Awesome. I think
All right, moving on. As we have Seraphie over here, I was just curious if we can jump to the 4th outcome so that we don't play musical chairs. So the 4th outcome focuses on community and economic development and tourism programs. The outcome reads, a thriving economy that supports job creation, innovation and entrepreneurship, sustainability and goods and services desired by the community. And under that, we have 2 budget plans. As Seraphie said, that this is, tourism is a new budget plan that we have added. And also we have community and economic development budget plan. Under that, there are 2 indicators, and we have Deputy Director Seraphie Allen here if any questions.
Councilmember Parsi.
I see that the top part is about job creation, but there is no metric around like businesses or as much about specific jobs. So I'm curious if there would be a relevant metric that we could add there. For example, business licenses issued, or you can get creative about that, how we kind of get to it.
Yeah, so the retail sales change is the indicator, and then underneath in the performance measures, we proposed, putting up here, but the percent change in resident business licenses in Redmond, which is a change from what we tracked previously, because in the past it included all business licenses, and so anyone that contracts in Redmond also has to get a business license. But the number made it seem like a lot larger than what we actually had for businesses here. So we've changed it to being resident business licenses in Redmond, and then we also have the number of, because we have a new program manager that's focused on small businesses. We added a metric around the number of businesses who have received outreach, and then we continued the jobs compared to growth targets, and also in there, because we wanted to make sure the long-range planning team was included, was the comprehensive plan complies with Growth Management Act is in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because our comp plan has a housing growth target as well as a job growth target. That's a great question. Other questions?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Seraphie. So we will go back to the 3rd outcome. This particular outcome focuses on programs like facilities management, capital investment program, and the development services. The outcome reads, city services and future growth facilitated by high-quality public infrastructure and facilities. Any questions on this particular column?
Oh, I'm raising my own hand for my own. The
Yes,
meeting
Council
that I'm
Member
currently
Stewart.
But see, Deputy Director Nara was doing such an awesome job. This is not a question. I just wanted to state my enthusiasm for the state of the asset report that is now on here as a as a dashboard indicator. We have, I think, been working toward this, and it's very exciting. I guess maybe the question is the data in the, I guess, I see, these are actually pavement condition score and facility condition score. Those are two separate things. I see.
That's correct. They're two separate measures.
In the same. Okay, they might need to be separated here, but I do know that Public Works has been working on, working toward this end, and I fully support it. My enthusiasm got in the way of my own question. Are there other questions from the council?
Sorry, just going back to the comment. They are the indicator over here, which combines both the conditions, facilities, and payment. But if under that, on the program measures, they are separated and reported separately.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any additional questions? All right. Oh.
Let's do it together, Deputy Director. Well, thank you. I think that, thank you so much, Deputy Director, all the row of Deputy Directors, and Haley for being with us. Council members, as you continue to have questions, please send them to staff for addition to the matrix. And in agenda setting, we will work on finding time to come back and review the matrix and know that all of this is continuing to go through the community engagement process as well. So.
Of course, and yes, we will come back, as Mayor Bernie has said, we will come back in a study session with the council matrix on March 10th. That's the thing you guys want.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a peek. Thanks.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Have a great night. And thank you so much to the Deputy Directors. Okay, the next couple of agenda items are really internal housekeeping, of the council, just as we are getting settled for the year. The third item on the agenda is the regional boards and committees. Council members, in your packets have a draft table of some of the current boards that Redmond is represented on regionally. And as was shared in email, just the purpose of this conversation tonight is to begin to converse about what are the regional boards and committees that the team would, which includes all 8 of us sitting around the table, would like to be represented at as we move forward in representing Redmond's priorities. We have many of us have new committees as we're heading into this year. And additionally, today, we were all emailed via the Sound Cities Association announcing several vacancies, and we can talk as a group about if there are any of those vacancies currently that are priorities for the council or any particular council members. As I've shared with some of the new council members, and I truly want to thank all the new council members attended the SCA orientation and training last week. Thank you for taking the time to do that and learn more about this process. There will be a much larger call for vacancies toward the end of the year. This is a smaller grouping that is available here. So I will go ahead and share my screen just briefly so that the public can quickly see kind of the table that we're looking at, but I will go ahead and open it up to the council around just our open-ended questions for tonight are, what are our team's priorities and which committees and boards do we regularly want to be submitting applications to and hoping to be at the table? It's just an open conversation for tonight. Yeah, Mayor Bernie, kick us off.
Well, I can share some, I forwarded along a few things that are open right now, but I can share some kind of general things. In looking at, in particular, SCA committees that are options are available, like there's a whole list right now that's open. What I have always done in the past is I've gone to the SCA website and I've looked at when that committee meets and what the obligation is to see if it even fits in my schedule of things that might look interesting to try to understand it. Of this list that they show, we would not qualify for Greater Seattle Partners because we have a seat there. I don't know if we qualify for Healthier Here. We probably do. I don't think we qualify for JRC. So some things we qualify for and some things we don't. So take a look, and then if it's not clear in that, then we'll find out for you if it's something you're interested in. But then I take a look and see if it's something I'm interested in, see if I have the background or the curiosity about it. And you don't have to have like some amazing resume to apply for these things. It really is do you have interest in it, and are you willing to put in the time for it? A lot of the council members that have been around a while have been on multiple things, so they have, obviously opinions about it. And then, as Council President said, there are things that will come at the end of the year, a huge call, and so that's the time to really kind of think about what you may or may, if it's not listed here, something that you might be interested in as the year, as we wind down to like October-ish or so when it comes out again. The one warning I would put is someone's interest in Regional Transit Committee. It is a significant amount of work. So some are significant amount of work. I think Council Member Kritzer was on it, weren't you on? Yeah, for a year, right, or two? And it's a significant amount of work, but some are like a lot lighter touch. So that's just kind of generally like thinking about like anything you do for the city of Redmond regionally is awesome, especially if you're really excited about it. And you have to balance your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the purpose of tonight's conversation is just identifying, are there team priorities that we have? So, so for the more experienced council members or for Mayor Bernie, are there boards or committees either on this list that we are not currently have an assignment for, or are not on this list, and you would like to advocate that if we're going to keep a list like this, that we actually add that one? Yeah, Councilmember Kritzer.
Thank you. I think this is a great conversation for us to have, and I do think we should, one, look if there are opportunities with these openings for us to apply to, but also revisit this list as we get towards the application season near the end of the year. In talking with some other councils in the area, they do this exercise and they say, how are we going to make sure that we get people from our team on all these different kind of strategic committees? And I don't think we've ever kind of done that in that way. So I appreciate it all being laid out to kind of think that through and think about where we all want to serve. A couple that I think we should kind of keep in mind as we move forward, of ones that are SCA in particular, is I think the PSRC committees, especially the ones that we don't currently have representation on, Growth Management Planning Board, as well as Transportation Policy Board, are really significant. I think it's great. We've had strong ETP engagement and East Trail around kind of the transportation side of things, and obviously we have Mayor Bernie on the Sound Transit Board. But I do think both. There are some opportunities to influence regional transit. And Regional Transit Committee, I did serve on that one and would encourage others. It's a good amount of prep, but our staff is also really great at working with us on that. And I've heard from our staff that it can be helpful to have a council member on that committee because we get direct access to the general manager of King County Metro. When I was on that committee, they would reach out to check in with me. So it is an opportunity for where a council member serves, and there is an opening for an alternate on that committee right now, where we might be able to actually kind of get our city even more at the table. We also get to connect with them via ETP, but I think it's an even kind of closer tie than our regional transit or our East Side Transportation Partnership. I'd say one other that I would highlight that I think could be that I think there is an opening on is the flood control district. And that one, I think there are significant conversations as that organization faces some budget decisions, and also our region, as we've seen with historic flooding, is going to face some important decisions around how we can best invest those funds. So it is going to matter who's at the table. It could matter for our city. So those are just a couple that I think are current opportunities. I also love KCD, obviously. But I think one question I had is for Mayor Bernie, actually, is that there's a couple committees that Mayor Bernie was serving on for quite a while. The King County Regional Homelessness Authority, as well as the Regional Policy Committee. And I'm just wondering if you can share with us about kind of your vision on that. Also, this Arch Council of Elected Officials, I know you're our representative on the Arch Board. So maybe kind of all those ones that are on the, that you have been transitioning from or to, just to give us an update on your thinking on those and whether it'd be helpful to have a council member serve in some of those roles, in addition to what you know about Arch.
Sure. So Arch, yeah, actually, our planning director, Carol Helland, is my surrogate on the Arch board, but the other kind of informational group that's gotten together, Councilman Prakria, if he can make it, we don't know when the times are. Have we found out the times yet? Said that he was interested in it, but I don't know. That's more of an informational group than, but the board itself is Director Helland is on that. The two groups, the two boards that I rolled off of, Regional Policy Committee and King County Regional Homeless Authority. So let me start with Regional Policy Committee. It would be fantastic if there is an opening, one way or another, either board or an alternate, if someone from Redmond was on that. And here's why. We have, for the last 7 years that I was on it, have been significantly staffing that in an SEA capacity, even though SEA has staff as well. It also has tremendous influence on levies for King County, as well as some other pretty important things like the solid waste management plan goes through there, and some other like big ticket items that impact our residents greatly. And so ideally there'd be some sort of opening and someone from Redmond would be willing to put that time into it. It's a 1 meeting a month and meeting. So there can be quite a lot of other time involved in it depending on what's happening. But as part of being able to influence the region, I think that's been a real good thing that I, as representing Redmond, had been on it for years. So that's a really good opportunity for someone to contemplate coming up at the end of the year. King County Regional Homeless Authority, currently there are 3 members from SCA and an alternate. I don't know the alternate. Someone from Issaquah took over my seat, or the seat I was sitting in, and 2 others, Councilmember Prince from Renton and Mayor Nancy Backus from Auburn are still on it. It is also, I wouldn't say a significant amount of time, but it's a huge learning curve to understand how that organization works, and to also have some influence on the direction. I am uncertain of the direction it's going to take. I think this year will tell with a new King County executive and a new mayor of Seattle. I don't know where the organization will go, but it's probably something to keep our eye on. It will, currently we do put funds into the organization for severe weather sheltering. We do have an ILA with them, us and I think Kirkland, Bellevue, to support that, like cold weather and hot weather, depending on what poor weather conditions we have. But we still have our own homelessness outreach program in the city that we continue to fund and work through without going through KCHRA. So it's probably one to keep an eye on. Probably more discussions on that, whether or not it would be a good opportunity for someone here to apply for if that's of interest to them. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Burney. And Councilmember Forsyth.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in the Arch Council of Elected Officials. I want to keep tab on that one because I feel like that's a conversation we've come back to several times. So if Carol can come back at some point, Director Helland can come back at some point and share more about time commitment, what that one looks like, I'm definitely interested in that committee, given how much time it takes.
Okay, thank you. I think that we still need, Mayor Burney will still make an appointment. You haven't made an appointment yet.
Well, we had done a call a couple of times. I hadn't heard from you. Sorry, Councilmember Forsyth, and so Councilmember Prakria was and Council President had both indicated that, and so I'll catch up with all of you. I'll figure out where things are right now.
I'm hearing lots of interest, so
Yeah,
I will withdraw my in case you need someone. Although I'm a huge fan of Arch, love that. But yeah, it looks like we have some folks. I did briefly have a conversation with Lindsay Masters, and it sounds like it will be quarterly beginning next month. Councilmember Prakria.
Just to get clarity, I would love to know more about the process for KCRHA. I'm also very interested in that. So, Councilmember Forsyth, if you want to take Arch, I'd be more than happy to let you do that. But would love to know the process for application for KCRHA.
So that one, just like many in the list in front of us, it's actually, we have in this column, so KCRHA is listed. Oh, it's not listed there, which is why you're not seeing it. It's through the SCA application process. I'm sorry that that's blank there. Yeah. I want to go back to a comment that Councilmember Kritzer made. KCD, the King Conservation District, I know that you personally are a fan. Is this a priority Redmond should always apply, or is this a nice to have from your perspective? Having previously served and maybe chaired, you chair a lot of things. Perhaps you chaired.
I did chair
Okay.
that in the King Conservation District Advisory Committee. Yeah, and served on there for a while. I think it's a great one, especially for any council members interested in conservation. But actually, I would say any of us, because so King Conservation District leverages funds that from our residents, and part of the reason we have that advisory committee is to make sure that jurisdictions like ours can help to give input into the where those funds go that are most impactful for our residents. A lot of what they do is provide support for landowners in different places. So everything from they're doing a lakeside landowner education program in collaboration with other entities, with us around Lake Sammamish, to work with those who live near forests to make sure that they're more prepared for things like potential fire or other types of impacts like storms. So it's really useful to have us at the table. Also, they do a lot around food systems. So anyway, there's a lot that is actually covered in that committee, and I think having cities at the table to think about how they engage with our cities as they're advancing on their programming is really helpful. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Parsi.
So would a good next step be that we look at SCA website and see if there's anything in addition to what's currently on the list you provided and reach out to you for questions? Would that be a good kind of next step?
So thanks. I don't want to cut off the debate, but when we get there, yeah, let's. The plan was just, again, this is just a planning tool for us. Some of the committees on this list go through the SCA process. Many of them are mayoral appointments, and they're listed here. Some of them are also council appointments, like we did the appointment for the LTAC chair a couple of weeks ago. So this is purely just a planning tool for us. And if everyone is generally in agreement, we can bring it back later in the year when there is definitely another call. Just in terms of next steps, I will say there is the call out right now for these current SCA vacancies. One of the things that's really important to know is that we should only submit one application for these committees. If the city of Redmond submits 2 applications, they cancel each other out and won't be considered by the committee. So it is, teamwork and communication is important here. So however far the conversation gets today, if over the next couple of days, anyone on this council begins to express interest in, you're exploring your interest in one of the committees, you'll need to communicate that with the council directly so that we don't inadvertently submit 2 applications. I will also mention that I currently serve on the SCA committee that reviews all the applications. We do that geographically, so I represent the North Caucus. There's a member from each of the regional caucuses. But I will just say, the committee cannot review applications from Redmond when there are no applications from Redmond. So there's not very many committees this time around, but when we get toward the end of the year, this will get more important. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Councilmember Parsi, and kind of, okay, place the conversation? Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Kritzer, did you have another comment or question?
I was just going to say on the King County Regional Transit Committee, if anyone does want to apply for the vacancy right now, I would certainly just wanted to encourage it. As an example of something exciting we got to do when I served on it was that, because I think This committee really advises and provides the process and input into the decisions that then the King County Council makes on different transit decisions. So one that I got to work on was making the recommendation to the King County Council to make sure that all youth could ride free on transit. And so these types of things are, if you think about it in the same way that sometimes our commissions will review and do some of the deep dive on policies that we care about and that we eventually take at council and pass, but oftentimes we look to them to have done the deep dive work. That's what that committee does and is a really cool opportunity. The King County Council members, several of them serve on that committee with representatives from around the region. So it's a really cool one to serve on. So just wanted to encourage everyone to apply for that one if anyone wants to step up.
Super appreciate that. And as was mentioned, the PSRC committees will come back around at the end of the year. I previously served on the Growth Management Board at the Puget Sound Regional Council. We reviewed all of the comp plans for certification. Eventually, those go into the consent agendas for the Executive Board that Mayor Bernie serves on at PSRC. But where they're headed next, that board will be working on moving beyond Vision 2050 into Vision 2060 and getting us prepared for the next major wave of regional planning. And so it's going to be a very future-focused, set high ambitions kind of place. So happy to answer any questions about that. Yeah, Mayor Bernie, what's up?
Thanks. I mentioned the importance of making sure Redmond's regional. The other really fun thing is that you get to meet people that you wouldn't necessarily get to meet unless you're involved in these committees. So some of the people, they become your friends, which is great, but you also get to hear what's going on in the rest of the county and their pressing issues that are happening, or the PSRC region if you're on a PSRC group. So that's also great because it helps you kind of build your community of other elected leaders in the region. So if you can make it work in your schedule, sorry, I wasn't trying to diss RTC, it's just, it is a lot of work. And so I'd want to make sure people in, the community understands the amount of work that council members and mayors put in when they are part of these regional boards and committees. They put in extra time to make sure that Redmond's represented and other communities are represented. But you also get an opportunity to make good friends and learn a lot about the rest of the region.
Thank you. All right. This was not an action item tonight. If you have questions or decide to pursue any of the available openings or are still interested in the available openings that are appointed by Mayor Bernie, it sounds like you can chat with her as well. And for tonight, we'll close out this item. The fourth item on the agenda is the council retreat outcomes reporting, just to share out with the public how our retreat went on January 31st. Council leadership put together a very brief couple of slides this afternoon. So I will share my screen just to report out again to the public about what this retreat was and where we go from here, and would love to hear further reflections from the council. So just really quickly, this is part of the report that came back from our consultant, Una, who facilitated our retreat. It was a really positive experience. She uses a facilitation method called technology of participation, and the blue wall behind the council members in that photo is literally a sticky wall that you throw ideas at most of the day and see what sticks and move things around. So all the council members participated, and we had a really fun day together. One of the main outcomes of this day, and I apologize for the slide again being just very basic, but we spent a big chunk of our day talking about how we wanted to work together as a team. We came to some agreements around how we want to lead with curiosity and bring a solutions mindset into our work here on the council, how as a team and individually we want to prepare for the everyday, showing up here on Tuesdays ready to go, but also for the big days. And this harkens back to the big days that end up being emergencies, as well as the really big and fun days like when you get to celebrate something awesome in community, like light rail coming across the lake. Also, we want to adopt healthy communication practices that promote respect and foster courageous debate, then decide and move forward together. Consistently ask whose voice is missing and seek it out, and be present be present and engaged with our community and in a coordinated way. We spoke a lot about how we as a team want to be able to show up regularly in community and do so in a way that also doesn't place burden in any one particular corner of the team. This was a huge focus of the day. I've put on the slide here a very brief look at a much larger SWOT analysis that took place over the course of the afternoon. Many of our strengths involved how excited we are to have a full team and new perspectives. It was Councilmember Parsi's 11th day on our council, and we're really excited about some of the new resources, especially with our legislative coordinator, and understanding that one of the biggest assets we bring into our work as a team is Redmond's reputation. Redmond has a reputation as a regional leader, a city that gets good things done for our residents. We also talked about the continuing kind of impacts of what's going on nationally and the uncertainty that ensues, and continue to want to work on communication and building trust all around City Hall and throughout the whole team. So that was the bulk of the day. The next steps are actually, we've always kind of had a part 2 on the agenda. Mayor Burney and council leadership got a chance to meet very briefly today to start working on those next steps. Our commitment to you is to have the prep materials emailed to you by the end of this week. That gives close to 2 weeks with materials that do not take that much of your time, but it's more about giving you a chance to have time. And the purpose of that day is to allow our team to kind of deliberate on some budget and policy curiosities for the next biennium, and really walk away kind of with a common understanding of what the first draft of the budget might end up including in order to kind of represent the team priorities. So again, that is just where a chance to report out to the public and anyone who might be interested on how our retreat went. Are there any reflections from council members or comments or questions you'd like to add? Council Vice President.
Thank you. To the council, I just want to thank you all for fully showing up and participating inside the space that we created for our retreat. It was just so wonderful. Many of us have talked about like how fast the day went. We did a lot of really great work, but it was refreshing when I walked out of there, and it wasn't like, oh, I really need to go take a nap and self-care right now. So thank you for coming ready to work and being fully present.
Awesome. Questions, comments, lingering thoughts from the retreat? Okay, awesome. Did you have something, Councilmember Kritzer? No? Okay. With that, we will move on to the last item of our agenda, which might feel like we've already been in, but we're at council talk time. So this is just a bit more unstructured, but also internal council talk time. Are there any items for council talk time? Councilmember Forsyth.
Thank you. I received some feedback on the draft resolution in support of our immigrant community. So I'll be working to get that legal feedback into the draft and connecting with Chief Lowe on a couple of the items that I had also included in there, and working with Council President Stewart to get this in a state where we can hopefully bring it forward for you all soon.
Thank you for that update. Other items? Councilmember Prakriya.
A point of personal privilege. I would be highly remiss if I didn't congratulate our very own Seattle Seahawks on winning Super Bowl 60 in highly dominant fashion, if I can say so myself. It's been a great week for the greater Seattle area, a fantastic year for Seattle area sports, especially with the upcoming World Cup. So go Hawks.
Thank you, Councilmember Prakriya. Councilmember Soni.
So as Councilmember Prakriya picked up, actually, I wanted to ask, now that we as a city are getting prepared for the World Cup, I just wanted to, ask our council members and our team, how as a council we may want to participate in some of these activities and show up for our community, show up for all our businesses, show up for everybody around. So, maybe we can look for some discussions on that and see, how we can also contribute towards that as a council members.
That's amazing. Are there any comments on on Councilmember Soni's question? Okay. Sorry, did I see a hand here? Okay, Mayor Bernie would like to speak.
That's a great segue to next business meeting when we have a staff report about that, and we'll start discussing ways that council and the community can be involved. So more to come on that, coming very soon.
Yeah, and I'll also add the Football for All events and those kinds of things. We have had council representation. I was here yesterday for the quarterly business check-in. Here's the fun fact. Like 125 million people watch the Super Bowl, but it will be like billions who watch the World Cup. So that was kind of one of the major takeaways of the day. And yeah, let's absolutely have this conversation more. Were there other comments or questions on this item? Yeah, Councilmember Nueva Camina.
Thank you, Council President. Actually, it was if you had a couple of high-level things that you wanted to share after attending yesterday's event. Other than billions.
Sure. I will just share out that our staff continue to do a really awesome job hosting these quarterly events to help the business community prepare. They heard briefings from public safety, emergency preparedness. They also heard briefings on more regional economic resources that are available, especially for watch parties. There was quite a bit of encouragement from one of the speakers to inspire organizations and community businesses to host watch parties for matches that are not the matches being played in Seattle, but all of those matches really do matter. And two highlights just quickly, there is a game being played on Juneteenth, and then the game the following week will be the Pride match, and that is the Iran-Egypt match, which has pretty significant meaning and will be an opportunity for our region to demonstrate our values. Yeah, Councilmember Kritzer.
I guess on the big deals for our region, I was curious if our mayor can give us any updates on any of the prep for the big March 28th Sound Transit celebrations.
Excellent. I was going to say something about that, so I will. But I will also say yay Seahawks and yay Cooper Cup, who graduated from Eastern Washington University, my alma mater. Hooray. And a Yakima boy. So just, a little local flavor for that. As you all know, I hope, March 28th is the opening of the Cross Lake Connection, they're calling it, the final segment connecting Redmond directly to Seattle and beyond. The line actually goes from Redmond all the way to Linwood. So if you stayed on the 2 line, that's where you would end up. So on the 28th, I don't know the time yet, and I don't know the exact location. My assumption is that that location will be in Seattle, is where the big party will take place. Because we've already had multiple parties in Redmond, we're actually not planning anything big at our stations or planning anything at our stations because that'll be the opening for Judkins Park and Mercer Island, and then that connection. So usually this is what happens for those who are new, because you haven't been through this before. As the days get closer to it, you will get elected officials get an invite to a pre-ride. It's usually the Wednesday or Thursday prior to the opening. And so you will be informed of that if you can make that. And then the day of the event, there are speakers. It's a whole thing, but there'll be more information about that, where it is and what it will look like. I'm planning it out in my mind, so I'm probably going to take the 545 into downtown Seattle, and then hopefully it'll be at King Street, and then just ride the train home all the way to downtown Redmond. So it'll be super exciting. But we'll make sure you all keep apprised of the details as they become available. But we start to get more information a few weeks prior to the opening. And then the rest of the community, obviously, we're so excited that this is finally happening. Way earlier, later than we hoped, but from a scheme of things, earlier than I thought that we'd be having the opening. I thought it would be definitely later in April, so March 20th is a fantastic day for it. So more to come, but super excited. It's very exciting.
Thank you, Mayor Birdie. Thanks for sharing. Councilmember Kritzer?
I wanted to share, had a great planning meeting today with the staff for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and we were chatting about our new shuttle, Red Link, And I didn't know until today that the soft opening is this month. So, and then the real opening is going to be full public launch March 11th. So just very exciting. I know the staff is going to be sending some info to council on this soon, but just thought I'd let everyone know since I found out, and I'm just really excited for this service for our community. And as a reminder for those who haven't checked it out, this is the Red Link is going to be serving around the downtown Redmond area as a free kind of app-based shuttle, but we do have Metro Flex over in the Overlake area. So just wanting to continue to encourage the public to use that, and hopefully we as a council, I feel like it'd be great for us to brainstorm after this launches, just more ways that we can get out the word for everyone to use both of these services, because the more we see people using it, the more uptake there will be, and both of them are grant funded, so being able to kind of get the momentum going to maintain them in the long run, I think is going to be important, especially as we were discussing of the regional transit committees that I've served on, hearing from other cities, the places where it's worked is where we've really seen that uptake from residents and gotten kind of the momentum going on it. So I just wanted to kind of raise that with the group. I think it'd be a good discussion for future council talk times.
That's great. Thank you so much. Circling back, one final item I just had from council leadership perspective. Logan has sent a calendar hold for May 21st as a possible council conversation date later in the spring. We have not yet discussed ideas and locations. We're running a little long in the tooth, so I understand if folks are ready to go for today, but have kind of been thinking about possibilities in the Idlewood neighborhood or possibly Idlewood Park, picnic shelter, or Audubon Elementary or something on that side of town that we haven't visited just yet in that series, but as you have other ideas, please speak up and let us know. Councilmember Forsyth.
Was that date previously talked about? Was that decided by council leadership?
It was council leadership looked at some possibilities in the spring, saw that there weren't many, and we sent this to your calendars as a test to see. So I don't actually know how well it has worked for your calendars.
That's what I was like, usually just accept, and I'm like, I don't remember that date, so thank you.
It came in the last couple of days from Logan. Thanks. Okay. If there are no other items for council talk time, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.